Before we dive into today's episode, I have something truly special to share. Next September, I'll be leading an intimate women's retreat through the south of France and northern Italy, and you're invited. Picture this: mornings exploring the colorful markets of the French Riviera, afternoons sipping wine, and a hotel view with golden Mediterranean sunsets. Whether you love photography, food, or just want to reconnect with your playful creative self, this trip is designed for you. Spots are limited, so if all this sounds like your kind of adventure, please visit tourwithabsolutely.com and look for the tour France and Italy with Crystal. You can also send me a message or check out the show notes. Claudine Hemingway is a descendant of famed writer Ernest Hemingway. We bumped into each other at a party and decided to team up and dive deep into French history, but with a twist, by bringing a spotlight to those lesser-known creatives in France. This is History with a Hemingway. Welcome back, guys. We're back with Claudine, and we're talking about Louvre and fashion. We might be coming to the end of this series because the exhibition might be ending soon, but we're hoping you're enjoying following along, even though you can't visit maybe. And I'll let Claudine take it from here.
Yeah, well, I say it might be ending, but there's still quite a few more that I'm going to have to do. But it's so great how they put this together that even after it closes, we might still have to do a few more episodes about it. So we are in kind of finishing up towards the end of the Renaissance section of the Louvre Couture. And we did the one a week ago where we talked about that Dior coat, which I'm still obsessed with the tarot cards. And I think I already put on my calendar the last day of the exhibit that I'm going to just have to go in just to basically say goodbye.
I mean, it is beautiful. So yes, you should try it on too.
I mean, if that coat probably wasn't, 7,000 or 8,000 euros to buy it at a vintage store, if you're lucky, then I'll have to I don't think I need it. I think that I'll just go back in and live through my millions of pictures. But in that same room, there is a beautiful dress by VIktor and Rolf. And VIktor and Rolf is a two-person team of Dutch designers, Victor Horsting and Rolf Snoren. They met at the Art EZ Academy of Art, and they created their label back in 1989, so not very old. These avant-garde designers blend a bit of satire and humor in their collection, and they did that in this one as well. And their first haute couture collection was done in 1998. The dress in the Louvre, so you're really going to want to make sure you look at my website at the pictures, because what this dress looks like and what the whole collection looked like were two very different things. The dress that's here is from the Autumn-Winter 2001-2002 haute couture collection, and it's very chic looking. They created this entire collection surrounded around the concept of royalty, but not in the sense you think. In real life at the time, in 2021, The Crown was on Netflix. It was such a big deal. And then there was also an interview with a royal that had moved with the royal husband, Harry, to LA. I'm not a big fan of her, so I won't say her name, but that was a big interview on TV, I think, with Oprah. And so it was all over pop culture. And so they decided to use that for the runway. So the collection was a parade of queens and princesses of their own making. So they basically created their own little royal family. But each look had three pieces. It had a dress, a sash, and a coat, which all the coats were very large, oversized. Many were created with the addition of Swarovski crystals, fake fur, and these giant plastic gems, like gems that you would look and you'd probably find at like a prop shop that would be, like 12-inch, long, like pink, like opaque pink, supposed to be some sort of a diamond or whatever you want. And then they all had the sashes, and the sashes have things like I said, love like a queen, queen of the night, always wear your invisible crown. So it's really a very fun take. But when you see the dress that's in the loop, it's very chic. And I always say when I see it that I think it looks like something that Princess Diana would wear.
I kind of like that they put those little like words on there too. That's cute. Like, be a queen.
Be a queen. Yeah, it's really cute. You have to look at the pictures online, so make sure you go to my website. But this is a Royal Navy blue with a gold lurex cloquet jacquard fabric. It's covered with embroidered and padded roses, and these clinging vines of roses complete with red thorns. It's braided and macrame details on the shoulders, neck, and waist, and edged with pearls and more Swarovski crystals. It's really, I mean, it is very chic. When I was doing the research on it and I saw the pictures of the show, I was kind of like, what? Like it takes it from this chic dress to, something I don't even know. It's just, it's very different. It's very fun. But it's also haute couture. This isn't stuff that people are really wearing in the street. The exhibition, of course, has been a big success for the Louvre. They extended it through August 24th. So if you're going to be there the next few weeks, it came together for many reasons. And one of the best is to give a little light to the fantastic Objet d'Art collection of the Louvre, which is what I've been trying to do as well. So hopefully it'll get people interested to go see it. It may be missed by those coming to take photos of the fashion, but hopefully a few people will look a little bit deeper and then come back and to the collection and see it. Usually it's part of the museum that's really, really dead and quiet, which is partly why I love it. But hopefully it will get people to come back. And have you spent much time in that area other than the fashion?
I'm always lost in there.
Yeah.
I don't know where I am half the
I
time.
just need to you need to come in with me a few times and I'll, teach you how to get around and
Yeah, I
where
was there with
things
a
are.
friend and we saw the fashion stuff by accident. And we were just trying to get to like the Egyptian area, which took us
Yeah.
like 3 hours.
It is really confusing in there, but it's still, I mean, sometimes it's fun to get lost. But if you're going in there, if you only have a certain amount of time and you're going in there to see something, it's good to know where to go.
Yeah, we were definitely wandering a lot. And then we'd ask everyone for directions. They just kept sending us in circles.
Yeah, I've had people ask me, like, usually it's Où est la Joconde? Like, where's the Mona Lisa? Well, usually they're asking English, but I will tell people, like, when I'm just in there by myself doing research, and a friend of mine said, you should just tell them different things. I was like, no, I'd feel bad because what if I see him at the museum again?
But that's what I think the Louvre staff was doing to us. They all
I
gave
think,
us different
yeah,
directions.
I think they get really tired of ants, but that's what their job is. I hate to say.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, but in this room, there's these glass cases, and in the glass cases they're filled with ceramic and Limoges decorative plates dating to the 15th and 16th century. Many of these plates that were created in the mid 16th century, when the production popularity was at its peak. Early painted enamel from the Middle Ages and predominantly used for religious pieces. We talked in past episodes about some of the reliquaries those would have had enamel on it. But these are very different. Limoges enamel began in the 12th century and got the name in Limoges from the Haute-Vienne department where the city is. It fell out of fashion, it almost disappeared in the 14th century until Louis XII brought it back to life. And Francois I and Henry II, it basically got it to its heyday of enameled metal appearing as a sign of great wealth and exclusivity. The middle name of the 16th century artist Léonard Limousin should be Limoges because he is like the peak designer of it. No other artist is attached to the craft more than he was. There's a few pieces in the Louvre that he did, including this altarpiece it's called the Altarpiece of Saint-Chapelle, created in 1556. It's two pieces created for Henry II, and it's in a nearby room, and it's amazing to go and see. But Pierre Raymond studied under Limousin and became an often sought after artist to create some of these items for the very wealthy family. So when you look at the dress, the Viktor and Rolf dress, and it has that background that's like dark blue and has kind of a gold damask print on it. And then you look at these enamel plates, and it kind of has that same idea with the golden curves on the dark background. At the height of their popularity, these enamel plates featured the months of the year to be displayed in a curio cabinet, were very productive for very widely produced for wealthy clients. The theme, popular during the Renaissance, depicted each month of the year with symbolism, astrology, allegories, and features laborers of agriculture at that season and month. The theme goes back even farther to the Middle Ages, where you will find astrological symbols and trades on the edges of cathedrals like Notre Dame, which we'll talk about in a couple weeks, or as well as calendars and books of hours is what these little tiny books were called that the kings would have made. My grandma had all these plates, but I think they were like years. So when I was moving to Paris, I had to save the year of the one I was born. They were like just blue on blue ceramic plates. They weren't enamel or fancy like this, but I think there was a resurgent of it in the 70s and 80s, because my grandma had a bunch of them. You should look around. Maybe your mom has some.
Yeah, I'm gonna go check the basement.
Check the basement. These collections of plates that are at the Louvre were created by Pierre Ramon for the president of the Parliament, Pierre the First Ségier. They were donated to the Louvre in 1922 by the Baroness Adele de Rothschild. This set of 5 includes a coat of arms of the family, including the month of March on the front of the plate, created in 1566. The center includes 3 men involved in hunting and pruning the vineyard vines, as you would be doing in March, a body of water, an island in the background with 2 little dogs in the front. At the top of the plate, 2 figures represent the zodiac symbol of Gemini, which is actually May, not March. So maybe they switched the astrological periods back then, because I was like, wait a minute, that's not right.
Maybe
Gemini.
things have changed since that time.
I mean, I remember a few years ago where they'd said that all of our astrological symbols were wrong and it shifted at one point. So maybe it was back then too. But the back of the plate is decorated in griselle, and griselle is gray. So it's all different gray scale, so different shades of gray. With scrolls, it has vegetables, and in the center, the profile of the goddess of hunting, Diana, which would go with the front side with the hunters. The golden details round out the plate along with the initials of the artist, Pierre Ramond. There's some of these plates also in the Musée des Arts Décoratifs, which I just went to the other day, and I always forget how amazing that museum is. But these enamel pieces are created using colored glass powder. They add it to a metal surface, often copper, because it's easy to mold and shape into plates and cups and liturgical items. It's then fired in a kiln up to 1500 degrees, allowing the layers to come together, and creates a very smooth finish. Images are then painted on with enamel colors and refired with each layer, fusing everything together. The griselle pieces are created the same way, but the painted details in shades of gray over a dark blue or black background. And what's really neat is because, these are plates and they're kind of they're against the hanging on the wall, so you see the front of the plate, but they also have one turned around so you can see what the back of the plate looks like. But they are really beautiful. But these weren't really ones that you would sit down and use. They're small. They're kind of like, what we would say maybe as an appetizer size plate, but they weren't anything they really would, eat off. They were more just decorative, but they are pretty amazing.
It's cool. You can see the front and back too.
Yeah, I mean, usually like you go to the Louvre website and you could put in the inventory number, and usually then you could see some of that, but I'll put some pictures of all of that kind of stuff on my website. In the room before this, there was a shoe, and we haven't really talked about any of the accessories, but we have to talk about this one because it's made by my favorite shoe designer, Christian Louboutin. It is a shoe that is very unique, and it's often missed because it's in just in one of these glass cases, and so it doesn't really stick out. So a lot of the accessory things, I think, are people are kind of missing them, unless you're tracking, which all the numbers and which ones you're missing. But Christian Louboutin, who people mostly know because of his red-soled shoes, he was the youngest of 4 children and the only son. From an early age, he didn't think he fit in with the family. He looked much different from his sisters with their long blonde hair, and created this family and a father in his mind from Egypt. His sister admitted as he was growing up that he was actually the result of a love affair that his mother had with an Egyptian man. I mean,
family secrets out.
I think everybody's done that to their sibling at one point.
No, I did it to my sister a lot.
Yeah, but I used to say that I thought that my sister was maybe, the milkman's child, but then in the end, I wish I had been the milkman's child. But and also we didn't have milkmen back then. But it is, I mean, at one point I'd probably be like, "Are you sure?" But his sister had to tell him. But his imaginative thinking led to many beautiful things that we get to enjoy. As a child, he spent a lot of time at the what was very nearby to his home, the Palais de la Porte Dorée, in 12th, where a sign with a stiletto in a red circle with a slash through it. Always kind of stuck with him. These high heels weren't allowed as they would ruin the floor and people didn't like the sound of it. But that one sign created a legacy. Dropping out of high school to travel to Egypt and India, something that would nourish his imagination and soul, inspired by the colors, fashion, and people, he spent his time sketching lofty high heels. He returned to Paris. He got a job at the Folies Bergère, where he used the dancers as his muse and also would sell them his custom design shoes he would make for them. In 1981, he presented his ideas to Charles Jourdan, which led to a brief internship, and then to Roger Vivier, who that would be a very successful arrangement, which took him to Yves Saint Laurent, Hervé Léger, until he briefly decided to give up fashion. He was discouraged. He turned his attention to gardening. Seems like a very different idea, until he missed shoe design too much and came back by 1991 and opened his very first store.
I love that he started gardening.
I know he's like, I'm going to give this shoe business up and start gardening. But, he kind of could meld those things together later in his life. At first, the tiny shop that he had was more of an atelier than a storefront. But on November 21st, 1991, he opened the doors. The small flagship shop that's at Rue Jean-Jacques Rousseau, not far from the Louvre, and also not far from where he lives, is still open to this day, and Christian often drops in, and also I do.
They know you by name.
Well, they know me by name, and they also know me as Madame Rouge. So if you go in there and say Madame Rouge sent you, they gave me that name on their own. The ladies at my nail place also call me that, and neither one of them know that that's the other person has that name for me. So I'm just going to change Boulon Madame Rouge. Of course, he is known for one thing, the red sole shoe. So one day in 1993, 32 years ago, at his atelier, he was looking at a finished shoe that had a black leather bottom. When he noticed some red nail polish on his assistant's desk, he picked it up and painted the sole of the shoe red, and the rest is history. That Chinese red color is specifically known as Pantone 18-1663 TPX, and it's the most perfect red there is. It's that perfect bluish red, not a lot of orange in it. And he actually owns a patent on that. So he has sued many companies for making their shoes with the red sole, and won.
As he should. That's his thing.
As he should, yeah. Louboutin remembers visiting the Louvre when he was just 10 years old, and he still drops by from time to time. My desire and wish would be to find him in there. His favorites include the painting that I also love of Gabriel Destre, who we did an episode about, and a portrait by Bocchio Bandielli that once belonged to Louis XIV, and he loves to stroll through the Islamic art section, which is another portion of the Louvre not a lot of people go to, and it's just really beautiful. When I decided to move to Paris 3 years ago, I told myself that the day I moved, I was going to finally buy my first pair of Louboutins, and I did. And unfortunately, I have a few more off since then.
Once again, they know her by name.
They know me by name. Louboutin has 7 designs in the Louvre Couture exhibit between shoes and handbags. He is a perfect pairing for this event. In 2020, a special exhibit featured more than 1,500 designs that was held at the Palais de la Porte Dorée, which is exactly where he first got his inspiration. The same location the exhibit was put together by the curator Olivier Jabet, who is now the curator of this exhibit and the head of the Objet d'Art section. Um, they did this exhibit back in 2020, and I was so upset because it opened just before COVID hit. It opened that February, and I kept thinking, oh, I'll be able to get back and see it, and we all know how that ended up going. So I never got to see the exhibit, but Louboutin, they did give me the exhibit book so I could look through it that way. But the shoe on display in the Renaissance section of the exhibit is somewhat hidden, as I said. It is a very different of a high heel. It is a massive shoe. It doesn't have like that perfect pitch and the vamp that you would call of like, the top of the high heel and the way your foot goes down. But this shoe, he blends history and art. It was done in 1995. The Death in Venice shoe is what it's called. It's inspired by a platform shoe owned by Mae West in the 1930s. But it's also about a shoe dating to the 15th century. The shoe is called the Venetian Chopin design. It's created during the Renaissance, consisted of a large wood or cork base that could be up to 20 inches high. It's more of a wedge platform than a shoe, were difficult to walk in without assistance. It was favored by Venetian courtesans, our favorite ladies. They often designed and covered in the same fabric as their dress. So the Renaissance dresses came with the pannier hips. So those really, where they could look like they're, 5 feet wide. And so they would have these shoes and have the dress made to go all the way to the ground. So 20 inches more fabric. And so they would be able to hide in there. So it would take them up to look even taller, to offset how wide their hips were in these dresses.
I love it, to offset the hips that they created with the dress.
But think if this was, just even think if a woman was like 5'5" and she's wearing 20-inch heels, she's all of a sudden like what, 6'9", 6'10"?
I'd definitely kill myself in those. It's like walking on stilts.
Well, and they would actually have to, when they'd walk with them, a lot of times they'd have to have somebody on either side of them, because you're basically picking your whole foot up and just plop, plop, plop. You're not bending. You can't like, usually when you walk, you like step on your, heel and roll up and then come off your toes. You can't do that with these. It's just basically like a heel, your whole foot flat on the ground. In 1430, they passed a law saying that the shoes could never be more than 3 inches in height, although it never was followed. Louboutin's design is 12 inches tall. It's a wood-based Chopin covered in brown suede and embossed honey gold gilding that's kind of a checkerboard. Another beautiful everyday object also mirrors the gilded gold work found on the shoe. A ceramic basin that dates back to the 1500s, and it once would have held a ewer, which is a pitcher, sat inside. The majolique was extremely popular during the Renaissance and traced to Spain and Italy, much like the enamel copper we saw on the VIktor and Rolf dress. These ceramics are also created in the same way. The biscuit ceramic is first fired, and then the first enamel glaze is added. The colored lead glaze contains a tin oxide that reacts with the metal and creates a surface that's easier to paint, as well as giving it much brighter results. The basin is decorated with a plant motif around a navel plate, which is what they call a navel because it sits, in the middle of it. It features 2 shaking hands topped with a crown symbolizing fidelity. So it would have been a wedding gift. The plate is primarily gold with cornflower blue accents and thin black outlines. It was created in Dorata, Italy. It was part of an immense collection of Gianpietro Campana. The Marquise Campana was the 3rd generation, holding the title of the director of a pawn shop in Rome. A bit different than what you would find, on, America TV. I remember years ago that pawn shop show that was on History Channel or something. Not exactly that, but the same idea. Gianpietro was raised around beautiful things, art, goldsmithing, Etruscan antiquities, and he loved to add to the family collection. While items when they came in, he kept a few for himself and also used some of the official money to purchase more and even orchestrate his own excavation digs. In 1857, it all ended when the Papal State arrested the Marquis, sentenced him to prison, and seized an entire collection. In 1861, it was sold, and an old friend rushed in to purchase the bulk of it. Campana had married a woman named Emily Rolls in 1851. She was an Englishwoman whose family was close with Louis Napoleon, who was the future Napoleon III. In 1861, Napoleon III purchased items that once belonged to the Marquise, enriching the Antiquities Department of the Louvre. He added more than 11,800 items and 641 paintings, mostly Italian primitives dating to the 14th and 15th century. A large majority of the antiquity items are held in the Louvre in the Campana rooms, which are rooms that each one of them has amazing, beautifully painted ceilings, which I'll have to go into one day. But it is, there's Etruscan vases and Greek vases, and it's literally, like I said, he got 11,000 items. There's a lot of those vases in there. And I've had somebody just recently tell me that they were in there and they said, oh, I saw those rooms. And I mean, after you see the 400th vase, you're just like, okay, there's another vase.
Like, there's another one. Come on, guys.
But I'd say just go into that room and just look up. I mean, the vases are amazing. And if, what I find interesting about them is, it all has all these just different mythological figures on it. But the ceilings in those rooms are what really make it.
Yeah, I just love looking at the ceilings, like just walking. I mean, everyone's like, oh, the art in the Louvre. And I'm like, the Louvre in the Louvre, it's so pretty too.
I've had people ask me, they're like, they'll say, which do you love more, of the Louvre? Do you love the art collection or the Louvre building itself? And I was like, ugh. I mean, that's a tough one, but I'd probably maybe put the building above it. My favorite.
Yeah, same. I really love the building.
And there's 408 rooms in the Louvre that are open to the public, never at the same time, but 408, and 58 of them have painted ceilings or decorated ceilings.
Yeah, and that's why it's just fun to go in there and you can avoid the crowds too in some of the rooms.
Yeah, a lot of the rooms, they have those great. So I have a list, and eventually I'll share all of those painted ceilings and themes with you, because it's pretty amazing. There's even one that has George Washington in it.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, the first time I noticed that years ago, I was like, wait a minute, what? George Washington's on the ceiling of the Louvre?
You're going to share that one.
Yeah, we'll get to that one.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, and make sure to head over to ClaudineHemingway.com to learn more. Thanks so much for tuning in to La Vie Creative. You can find more information on MissParisPhoto.com. And if you enjoyed this show, please feel free to share and spread the word for all my creative guests. We have the power to help them to keep doing what they love. See you next time.